So again, welcome everybody to our first Ask Me Anything on Bass Lake. We're lucky to have 5 panelists currently who have previously raced Bass Lake and are here to share their experiences and any tips for you. At some point, we're hoping to have the race director join us. He's in the East Coast, so we are reaching out to him to see if he's still going to be joining. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through, have the panelists go through their experiences one by one, and then at the end we'll save all the questions. If you'd like to put your questions in the chat, I'll be there to moderate. And then when the race director joins in, we'll interrupt the speakers and have him join in, give us any nuances about the race that we may need to know about, as well as answer your questions. So again, welcome. And I'd like to also shout out to Oakland Tri Club for joining us this evening. We're very excited to race with you guys and look forward to a fun event. So we're going to start with Mills first. And if everybody could please mute yourselves so that we don't have any background interference, that would be lovely.
All right, thanks, Kimmy. Well, good to see everybody. I'm thrilled to be talking about this event because this is actually, or this was, my first triathlon ever. It was my gateway drug to the entire sport. And I've been doing it for about every year for 5 years since then. So I started with the sprint distance and had an absolute blast. I mean, we'll go through the full overview of what the event is like, but just in comparison to other triathlons that I've done, it's a really informal, very friendly. There's a barbecue. It's very much that vibe for the entire race. You know, everybody is just relaxed, having a great time. You're right outside Yosemite. The Pines is a beautiful resort. The lake is really nice. So I think in terms of the entire vibe of the event, I found it to be really relaxing and comfortable, and great for really experienced racers and great for brand new racers, which is me at the time. So I really enjoyed the sprint distance, very well run event. I ended up doing the Ollie distance for the next few years afterwards, and really enjoyed that. A couple of quick things about the course itself, and I won't go too long because I know we have a full panel, but a couple of things that are top of mind for me are it's pretty roller coastery as you're going through it. So I wouldn't say there's a significant amount of overall elevation, but you will be climbing and then dropping, climbing and then dropping. So just be ready for that. Coming out of transition, there is a decently steep hill that you come up. So those are two things that I kind of noticed when I was first coming out on the bike the first time. Make sure you're geared down when you're coming out of transition. They'll be a huge help for you. The other thing I'll say about the just the overall accommodations, if you don't have accommodations yet, we camped every year, and it was fantastic. I know they're hard to come by, but it's a really fun way to kind of get into the Yosemite kind of feel for the weekend. And there's a number of great campsites that are nearby, including some group sites as well. Golden Gate Tri Club actually reserved a 40-person campsite, not last year, but the year before that. And that was amazing because we were all able just to hop on our bikes, go over there. We rented boats afterwards. It was just a ton of fun. So I'll pass it over to my other panelists, but my overview of the event is just that it's a really great race, and I highly recommend everybody go if you're not already signed up. It's a ton of fun.
Sarah, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Weidman. And Bass Lake, I did it. I've only done it once, and it was with the Golden Gate Tri Club organized event 2 years ago. And just to reiterate what Mill said in terms of the whole experience, I'm someone who gets race anxiety often, and so having a small event that is super friendly and informal was just really fun, and I felt like I was just going for another swim, bike, and run experience. If you are a new swimmer or an experienced swimmer, you swim in AP frequently, you will be pleasantly surprised at the calmness of the lake. I don't remember how warm it is, especially it being outside of Yosemite. And then, of course, the only thing about the swim to be considerate of is the fact that there are lots of people at the swim start, but you will not get the waves and the turbulence and the winds that you get at Aquatic Park or in the Bay Area. What else did I want to say? I would say I also, just to reiterate what Mel said, is the rollers. And so just save your legs. Even if the bike is your strong point, as you're coming down, you have a nice downhill at the end. And I would just say coast. So that way, when you start your run, because the run is hilly, it's an out and back. This is for the Olympic distance, by the way. I don't actually know what the sprint distance is. You just want to be aware of that. The other thing is that it gets hot. So I would say probably a week before, like start hydrating, like electrolytes, water. When you get up there, make sure you hydrate the day before, the night before, just so that you have plenty of fluids and that you're ready for the heat there.
All right, I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Paravati. I also did the race for the first time, like Sarah, a couple of years ago. As everyone said, very informal race, a lot of fun, barbecues. I can't remember if they had a free race beer at the end, but we brought plenty of our own. So
There absolutely was.
They were okay. I couldn't remember.
Michelob Ultra, good stuff.
Yeah, tastes great, less filling. It's a good race. What I would say is, as Mill said, yeah, make sure you're geared down. It's a big, if you're doing Wildflower, it's just like that start, you pretty much get on the bike, and then some people were tipping over. They were geared down a little bit, or geared up a little bit. There was also something that I talked about with a couple of the other GGTC members at track. If you're considering using a tri bike, I would reconsider. I would probably just use a road bike because it is very rolly. Is that someone saying I wouldn't? Yeah, I wouldn't either.
This is Jonathan Grinder. I'm the race director.
Hey, Jonathan.
And so yeah, no, I don't mean to be to disagree, but it's a perfectly acceptable race course for a tri bike. Absolutely.
Okay, I was speaking from someone who did the sprint. I felt very comfortable, but then again, I was coming off of a little bit different circumstance. I had a crash the month before. This is like my comeback race. So from the sprint, I felt like I was able to be pretty fast. So I guess leave it as a judgment call. Maybe bring both if you are fortunate enough to have two. But if you got a road bike, you're perfectly capable as well. Yeah, and I think that's really all the feedback. That was the main thing, because Mark, I know you were asking me about that, about tri bike versus road bike. I didn't find that there were any, at least on the sprint, any long parts where I would have been in the drops anyway. So judgment call. Either way, it's a fun race. So I hope everyone rides safe and has a good time.
Kimmy, do you want to go ahead and hand it off to Jonathan now that he's attended? Jonathan, thank you so much.
I'm sorry, here I am. I didn't mean to break in, and I apologize. And I certainly am open to whatever questions anybody might have. I'm happy to answer them. And I think that Michael made some good points, is that the course is perfectly acceptable for whatever you want to ride. And I think the sprint course is probably a judgment call, like you said, between a bike or a road bike or a triathlon bike. The Olympic course, I think a triathlon bike is probably a little bit more appropriate. But it depends what you're comfortable with. We have folks who say, hey, can I bring my mountain bike? It's like, absolutely, of course you can. We want people to have fun and be comfortable out there. That's the most important thing.
Jonathan, you have a big audience here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before the race?
Most importantly, we're working really hard. I mean, the pandemic is sort of receding in the United States, and we're all getting more confident. But it's still there. And I really appreciate everybody supporting the race and coming out, even though there is some risk regarding this COVID-19. And what I want to emphasize is that we're going to do some things that are going to be inconvenient, but we're going to do it to keep people safe. And I hope that everybody has some patience with that, and that they realize that we're working really hard to bring this race back. And, you know, it's going to be this year. That's the year that we're going to have it. And then next year, we're going to be back free of these things. So I'm just urging patience for everybody, because I just think we're super lucky to have this event. I mean, personally speaking, I've been a race director since 1994. And this is the first race I've put on in 2 years. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to do that. And, you know, I hope everybody's just as excited to be there. So yeah, there's some sacrifices we're going to have to make, but we can have a great race still. And I'm so excited about being in Bass Lake on June 5th. I just can't tell you that.
Thank you, Jonathan. We'll continue on with our panel. Stephanie?
All right, cool. I did Bass Lake Olympic. I did it one time. And it was actually amazing. I was super happy and lucky to get in at the last minute and decide to go. But the thing that really stuck out to me was the supportiveness of the town. I'm more of like a creature of comfort, and but the little general store in town had hot coffee as we were getting ready in the morning. It was cold in the morning, so I would suggest bringing layers that you can hide somewhere, because by the time you're on the run, it's about in the 70s. It feels a little bit warmer. The swim was a lot, it was a little tougher than, I think that's where I started to feel the elevation. But as soon as I could calm down and settle in, it was great. They had to cut it short my year. So swimming isn't my favorite part of the race, so that actually made it even more fun for me. But yeah, by the time you're about halfway through the bike, you do start to feel the heat. So that would be my main suggestion. And also just, I think, showing kindness and respect to the town. They pay it back in spades. So yeah, I think it's one of my favorite bike courses I've ever done. I rode a triathlon bike, and I just had such a blast. I think because I went in with no expectations, and just everybody in the town is out in their driveways cheering. It was an absolute blast. It's like a little roller coaster. It was awesome. Definitely, I love this race. I'm super excited that it's back.
So, I mean, I can add some comments, and thank you for all the nice things you said. You're right. You know, we're at 3,500 feet of altitude, so it's chilly in the morning. So definitely bring, you know, sweatshirt or something to keep warm. Absolutely. The weather report looks like it's going to be mid 80s, which we've been upper 90s at times. So mid 80s is going to be delightful. But the good news is there was some website, somebody emailed me, Monster Lake or something, and they said that lake temperature was 51. That's a complete fabrication. We're going to be mid to upper 80s all week long next week. Water temp will be in the probably low 70s when we race on June 5th. So wetsuit temperatures, but not required. It'll be comfortable.
All right, let's finish off the panel with Jason.
Hey everyone, thanks, Kimmy. Yeah, I guess similar to what everyone has said, it was a great race overall for me. I did the swim and bike portion of the race, and my fiance did the run portion. For the swim, I'm not sure if it was the elevation or being that I only trained in saltwater, but there was kind of getting used to it portion at the beginning. But once I got into it, it was a great swim. And I didn't notice anything weird about the transitions. The bike was a good kind of rolling. And it was actually so beautiful that at some points I would lose track of kind of directions, and I was wondering if I had gotten lost. But there was always a marker eventually. And yeah, it was great seeing everyone. And one thing I remember, it was my fiance's first triathlon event, and we all waited for her to finish, and and she was just so happy finishing with everyone kind of clapping and cheering. So it's just generally a good environment overall. Yeah.
Thank you, Jason. Now we can open it up to any questions for our panelists or for race director Jonathan. Either you can put it in the chat or you can come off mute and answer the questions directly. One of the first questions we had was for Mills regarding the incline at the beginning after transition. Was that for the Olympic or the sprint or both?
For me, it was for both, but actually, Jonathan, I was looking at the map and it looks like at least the swim course changed from what it has been in past years. Is it still the same transition exit to go out on the bike? Still that kind of steep incline?
The transition is the same. The marina owner, Bass Lake Water Sports, has prohibited us from using his marina this year, so that our swim course is different, and it's just one of the things we have to live with. We're going to be starting and finishing at the beach in front of the pool area of the Pines Resort. But the transition area itself, bike exit and entrance is the same.
GGTC meeting про.
I'm sorry, what?
Sorry about that.
So yeah, you're going to be climbing a steep hill out of the transition and coming down a steep hill going into the transition. The main thing is, gear down. Don't be starting in your big chain ring out of the transition, because I guarantee you'll fall over. And so when you rack your bike, make sure that you're geared down. You're in the small chain ring. Your rear chain ring is in the upper gears, so that you're in as easy gear as possible. And then the thing is, when you come down, understand that the transition area is a congested area. We've got residents we've got 25 people working parking, but nevertheless, there are residents trying to get in and out. So you can bomb down that hill at 35 miles an hour. Don't, hold it down a little bit, be aware of your surroundings, and just be safe. So those are the two things. One is that gear down when you rack your bike, and two, keep it under control coming down the hill into the transition area. And that's true for both sprint and Olympic.
Jonathan, we got a question. Will there be opportunities for spectators to cheer us on, or is that discouraged due to the COVID restrictions?
Well, when we first started planning the race, in, when was it? Probably February or March. And that was when the pandemic was brutal, and we couldn't prohibit spectators, but we were strongly discouraging them. Given the new CDC information and guidelines, I think spectators are fine. And I also think that outdoor, the CDC has indicated that outdoor transmission is extremely low. So yeah, we're still strongly encouraging that you wear masks and, of course, social distance as spectators, but we're not putting any prohibition on spectators per se, because I think that it's pretty safe out there. The main thing we're doing is, masks in the transition area, in the swim staging line at the swim start, and of course our restrictions on the transition area. Other than that, I think that spectators, as long as they're mindful, we should be fine.
Thank you, Jonathan. I have another question for you. How long is the run from the water to transition? And I'm going to add on top of that, and what will we be running on?
Good question. Very good question, because again, we've had to change that a little bit this year because of our inability to use the marina. So you're going to come out of the water at the beach, which is right in front of the pool area at the Pines Resort. And normally in the last 3 or 4 years, we've actually run through the pool area and then up the access road into the transition area. But this year, what we're going to do is we're going to actually turn up the stairs. We're going to turn left, and then we are going to run across the parking lot up a set of stairs, which will then get us up to the transition area level, and then we'll run into the transition area. So you're going to have, and this is wild guesses because I haven't measured it, so forgive me, but you're going to have, once you hit the lower parking lot, you're probably going to have about 75 yards there across asphalt. Then you're going to run up a cement set of stairs, fairly steep. And then once you get to that level, then you're going to have probably 50 to 70 yards into the transition area, again, asphalt and sidewalk. So it in terms of previous years, it's very similar. We've traded a set of stairs for the steep road that you've run up before. But it's yeah, admittedly, it's longer than I'd like, but this is what we have to deal with.
We have a question from a new person to triathlon. Is there water or snacks going to be on the course?
Because of COVID restrictions, we are not going to be providing any water on the bike course. So we're asking everybody obviously to carry your own water. We've never provided water for the sprint course. And we are dispensing with the aid station on the Olympic course. So, you got to carry your own water bottles, and most people do, so that should be fine. On the run course, you're going to have an aid station right when you leave the transition area. You're going to have an aid station about a mile later, or a mile and a half later, and then another aid station at the turnaround, and then the same aid stations coming back. If you're doing the Olympic, you're going to at the first lap turnaround, you're going to have an aid station, then the same going through. So you're going to have aid stations every mile to mile and a half on the run course. The far turnaround, which is at mile, it's at mile 1.5 for the sprint, and then the Olympic will hit it twice. There will be Gatorade. So there won't be any snacks on the course. But there will be water and Gatorade on the run course for sure. But we are doing it a little bit differently this year, in that the water will be placed on the tables where athletes can help themselves. We're not going to put volunteers in a position where they're actually handing water out. So you can either grab it on the run, you can stop and grab it, whatever you want to do. It will be there available for you.
We have a question from James. Should we put our Garmins on the night before or the morning of the race? And I suspect he's talking about our Garmin bike computers.
Well, here's where we're doing the transition. And I know it's not a popular decision, but it's just the way we're going to do it. Is that we're asking people to rack their bikes on June 4th. So go in there, rack your bike, and set it up for the transition area completely, just like you're going to race, just like you're setting up race morning. And then we're going to allow limited access to the transition areas on race morning, whatever you need, 5-10 minutes to get in there, check your tires, check your Garmin, check this, check that. So if I was going to set up a Garmin, for example, what I would do would be to probably bring it with me on race morning, get in there, double check on my transition, check my tires, make sure they're okay. And then I would set the Garmin up at that time. I don't think I would do it on Friday afternoon or Friday evening. I would wait until Saturday morning when I have access to the transition area at that time.
Will someone be guarding the transition overnight?
We'll have guards all night long. I don't want to call them guards. Let's call them security. That's a little bit less of a loaded word, but we'll have security there all evening. We close at 10, and then we'll have staff on site about 3:30 in the morning. So we'll have security through the night.
So we can leave our food in our transition and no little critters will get it?
That I can't guarantee. If you set up a nice little, granola snack bar for the local raccoons, but yeah, of course. We've wrecked bikes on Friday for probably 7 or 8 years and really have never had a problem with critters or people or anything else.
Another question, Jonathan, is there going to be an opportunity to warm up in the water before the race?
Well, I have this. I'm calling it a blog, but I'm old, so I don't really know what a blog is. But on the website, on the front page, I have sort of a up-to-date information link, and I've been posting things there as I know them. And so I would suggest that you, especially next week, check that daily, because that's where I'm going to be posting things as they come up. And the reason I say that is that the water level, because of the drought, is lower than it has been in the last 2 or 3 years. So I need to actually get up there and find out what our water level is like before I can figure out what warm-up areas will be available. So I'm hopeful that we can have that. And I know that we need it, but I need to figure out exactly how it's going to work out. The other thing, though, is that the Pines Resort has a 25-yard swimming pool that will be open for warm up in the morning. I mean, the swim staging line actually goes by the swimming pool, so that's an opportunity to warm up in as well. So that's unfortunately, I hate to say it, that's sort of a game time call, and I will definitely be posting the specifics on that Tuesday or Wednesday.
Is that information on the COVID information page on your website?
I think it's called, I can look it up, but I think it's called the it's called something like the blog or the, I'm looking it up right now on the phone. It's called the latest Bass Lake Yosemite Triathlon COVID-19 information and race blog. Okay. So it's the first link under the sold out banner, and it says blog, and that's where I'm posting. I mean, as soon as I know things, I post it there, so that everybody's up to date about what I know.
I just posted it in the chat for everybody. Another question is that the air quality has been a little high over the past week. Is there any concern for that? At
Bass Lake?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not aware of that, but I will look into it. I know of no fires. I mean, I was up there last October on a planning trip, and it was like fog because of the smoke. But again, it just depends on what the weather or the air quality is in Fresno, and whether it drifts up into Bass Lake. I have never heard of any water or air quality being questionable in Bass Lake, but I'll follow up on that, and I'll post something on the blog with what I find.
And I got a couple parking questions. Is there any concern with parking? Any tips on getting a spot or where to park if you're not staying the night, if you're driving up?
There's a parking on the pre-race information that I sent out. There is a section on parking information. That information was emailed to everybody, and it's also on the website under athlete confirmation, I think. And parking is first come, first served in the Bass Lake Village area. Earlier you get there, the more likely you're going to get to find a parking spot. If we don't have if that parking fills, which it might, then we also have a shuttle running from the government center, and that information is on the confirmation email as well. Also, given this year that there really is an inability to ride bikes from the government center parking area, we certainly have no problem with people, spectators, family, friends, whatever, dropping off their athletes at the transition area, and then going to park the car and taking the shuttle back into the race site.
Doug, did that answer your question? Okay.
And if you have any questions after you read the athlete confirmation or whatever, my email is somewhere up there, probably on the contact part of the page. Email me with any questions, and I can help address them. I'll be available by email through Thursday morning next week.
And I have a final question for the panelists, unless anybody else wants to throw any more questions in the chat or unmute. This is from one of our new members, Noah. And this is going to be his first triathlon. Are there any totally so obvious you wouldn't even mention it suggestions anyone would make for a complete newbie for this race?
Share one. Since this was my first triathlon, and Jonathan, I just want to say thank you, by the way, for running a great race. I started my race or my tri kind of career there, and I've done the race every year for 5 years. So I've really enjoyed it. Thank you. I made the mistake first of not trying on my wetsuit before starting the race. So I had my new Roka wetsuit that was FedExed to me, which was great. It was arrived a little later than I thought. So the morning of the race, hopped into it and had a lot of problems. So I would just suggest making sure you have an opportunity to fully test your equipment, obviously, but if you can get there early in the morning, the night before, swim around a little bit, just get comfortable, because the wetsuit thing for me the first time was a big deal. But I got into it and it was great.
Well, one thing I might add, and those are some really good comments, particularly about the wetsuit, is that Bass Lake is at 3,500 feet of altitude, and you think, well, that's no big deal. It is. It's high enough so that you feel it. And you're gonna hear me on the mic at the swim start over and over and over again. I'm gonna be saying, do not go out hard. Do not sprint on the first 100 meters, because otherwise you're going to feel that altitude, and you're also going to feel your wetsuit, particularly if you're not used to it, because they can seem constricting when you wear them for the first time. So, and also the water's going to be somewhat cool, probably early 70s or low 70s. So if you're a new triathlete and you're not used to open water swimming, take it out easy. And I think I said in the confirmation or one of my pre-race videos, always I ask in the video is, how many people have won the race in the first 100 meters in the swim? And in 25 years or 30 years of triathlon experience, I've never had anybody raise your hand. Take it out slow. And that's the most important thing that you can give advice you can give a new triathlete on the swim. Take it out slow. You're gonna be excited. You're gonna be full of testosterone. Take it out slow. And that's not the last time you're going to hear that from me. I guarantee it.
Sarah, have any advice?
Again, I mean, I'm just thinking about what Jonathan said, because I get this question a lot. Like, there is no swim that is not allowed. So breaststroke, crawl, backstroke, treading water, like anything that you need to do to get through the swim. Sarah actually had some really good advice. Try wetsuit, try short suit, practice transitions in your living room beforehand so you know what is coming, and bring food and water. I would say also to maybe bring more snacks than you think you might need. Make sure to hydrate, and know that, like, if 10 things go wrong, like, you're doing you're doing well. It's one of the greatest lessons in adapting.
Well, and what Sarah said is absolutely correct, is that you cannot sink in a wetsuit. No matter how hard you try, you cannot sink. Roll over in your back, raise your hand, and we'll have somebody to you in a moment or two. I think people get in trouble because they panic, and in a wetsuit, you just don't have to panic.
I'll just add, Jonathan, a lot of I won't say all, but a lot of our swimmers have been swimming in Aquatic Park in San Francisco, where the water is like, we're lucky if it gets to 60. So low 70s is like balmy for.
Yeah, I did escape from Alcatraz many years ago, and I remember Aquatic Park for sure.
Yeah.
But I usually swim the week before the race in the lake, low 70s without a wetsuit, totally comfortable. It's not bad at all.
Jonathan, I have a question for you. Any wetsuit strippers going to be available to help the racers? I wish we were big league, but we're just a little tiny hometown race. So no wetsuit strippers. And even if that was something we did with the COVID, we probably wouldn't be doing it this year anyway. But here is a hint, okay? So a wetsuit, by its very nature, has a layer of water between the suit and your skin, right? So you've got at least a 200-yard run from the water to the transition area. All right, if you take your wetsuit, if you step out of the way and take your wetsuit off right when you get out of the water, two things are going to be to your benefit.
One, the water between your wetsuit and your body is going to act like a lubricant. So that wetsuit's just going to slide right off. And two, you can run from the lake to the transition without your wetsuit on, which is going to be a lot faster. So yeah, get that wetsuit off as soon as you get out of the water, and you'll find your life to be a lot easier.
Jonathan?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
There was another question. Can we bring shoes for transition out of the water?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, there's no way that we can guarantee that they'll be there per se, but there are definitely a lot of places you can hide them. And if you want to, you know, have a pair of shoes that you want to slip on or you know, shower thongs or whatever you want to do, yeah, you're more than welcome to do that. Absolutely.
And panelists, what do you think? Shoes or no shoes?
I was fine with Adam.
I didn't feel there was a need for shoes. Totally fine with Adam.
Yeah, you're going to be on a deck. You're going to be on pavement, asphalt, and then you're going to be up a set of cement stairs and then sidewalk. So, you know, shoes, I don't think you necessarily, I agree. I don't think they're necessary. You know, if you got real sensitive feet, maybe, but in general, probably not.
Jonathan, will the lake be open for swimming the days before the race?
Absolutely. Yeah, I go swimming. I try and swim at least once or twice before the race in the lake, right out in front of the pool area at the Pines Resort is a beach, and then there's a no wake area, and you can actually parallel the shore and stay within the no wake area, and it's very safe. The lake isn't high use at that particular time of year, so absolutely, it's delightful. I mean, that's one of the things I look forward to, is the ability to get in the lake and go for a swim and pretend I'm a triathlete again.
And then Jonathan, we have a question about, can you please elaborate a little bit on the staggered start for us?
Yeah, it's a new one for us too. So it's going to require a lot of kind of athletes being aware of what we're doing and paying attention. And of course, we have to do our job too. But what we're going to do is well, first of all, the participation list is up on the website, and that will tell you your bib number. And it's on the front page of the website. I think it's called participation list. It's real obvious. And then there also is a wave start list. And so what we're doing is we're starting 15 people at a time, and we're going to start in numerical order. So 1 to 15 go at 7 a.m. That's the Olympic race first. And 16 to 30 go at 7:01 and 7:02 and 7:03, so on and so forth. Our last Olympic number, I believe, is 3:03 or 3:04. I can't remember exactly right now. But after that last Olympic number goes, we're going to take about a half-hour break, maybe a 20-minute break. I can't remember. It's up on the website. And at 7:50 a.m., we're going to start with the first 15 people in the sprint race. And then we're going to do the same sequence. 15 people at 7:50, 15 people at 7:51, and 52, 53, so forth. So how that's going to work is I'm going to be up on a mic, and I'm going to be, saying, okay, numbers 100 to 114, you're up, wave 47, whatever it might be. I don't know. And so I'll be announcing that. And then we're going to also have a volunteer checking you in at the top of the stairs to allow you onto the staging area on the beach. And so that person will be then checking to make sure that the right numbers are going in. So our wave that's going to start, let's say numbers 0 to 15, 1 to 15, will be knee deep in the water, ready to go. Up against the wall on the beach will be 16 to 30, and then in the line at the top of the stairs will be 31 to 45, whatever. And so once that wave starts us in the water, then we'll move the wave that's waiting into the water, and then we will then let 15 more people into the staging area against the wall. So we'll be constantly moving people into a position of getting ready to start. And the thing is, if you missed your start, which we strongly discourage, but if you missed your start, then you'll need to tell the volunteer at the check-in at the top of the stairs at the beginning of the beach, and then we'll record that and be able to fix that after the race. But the main thing is be aware where you stage. So if you're number 247, then you're going to stage with the numbers 245 to 260, for example. So be aware of that staging, and try and stage. We were asking people about 15 minutes before they start. So if you start at 250, you're staging at 235. And it seems very simple to me, but I may have just been so convoluted and confusing that I made no sense whatsoever. So if I didn't, please let me know. I can figure out a way to explain it better.
So Jonathan, are we starting in the water or it's a run?
Yeah, we're going to be on a beach. I think that the whole beach start where you're running into the water, I hated it when I was a triathlete, and I'm never going to let anybody, force anybody to do that now. So we're going to be starting knee to waist deep in the water. So if you're not you're not confident starting with a bunch of people in a wave, then no problem. You can just back off and start knee deep instead of waist deep. Although up on the mic, I'm not gonna, if I'm gonna call you out if you try and sneak out to like neck deep or something, I'm not gonna let that happen. So, but yeah, no, it's an in-water start, absolutely, on sand, and it will be very, very non-intimidating. Let's say that.
Jonathan, are there any cutoff times?
We generally don't do cutoff times. And certainly if you're on the run course, we will not break the finish line down until you cross the finish line. I will never, ever do that. But on the other hand, I have to say that if you're in the swim, the Olympic swim, 1500 meter swim, and you're taking an hour or an hour and 10, and I've got 3 guards watching you, I'm going to have to pull you because I don't have the resources to support that. So no, there aren't any cutoffs, but it's more of a resource issue for me. And if you let's say we have to pull you from the swim, or let's say you don't finish the swim, like you overestimated and you can't do the swim, hand in your chip and go out and do the bike and run. I mean, why not? Enjoy the day. You won't get results, but you will be able to participate in the bike and the run part. So no cutoffs per se. But I can't keep. I'm paying, I don't know, about $90 an hour for CHP officers, and I just can't keep 4 CHP officers out there, for 2 hours because somebody's not finishing. But we try. We do the best we can.
Jonathan, I got a question. Is there a reason that sprint swim is so short?
I have always, as a race director, I want to make triathlon as accessible as possible. And so the sprint is usually an entry-level race. It's a race that people do to get introduced into the sport, and swimming is the most intimidating part of our sport. So I've always made the sprint swim a little bit shorter so that people would not feel so intimidated. And that's generally why our sprint swim is so short. It'll be about 400 meters, 450 meters at max.
Michael, do you have any insight on that? How was that compared to like the other sprints you've done?
Unfortunately, no, I don't really have anything to add. I loved that it was so short. I was just coming back from a Half Moon Bay crash, so I kind of liked that it was very quick. It was done in, I don't know, 7 minutes or 8 minutes, however long it takes you. Yeah, I didn't have an issue with it. I was a fan. I think it is great. So I like that you do that, Jonathan, for entry level folks to have a nice short swim and get to the fun parts faster, I would say.
Well, I grew up as a collegiate swimmer, so I'm going to disagree with you about the fun parts. But yeah, no, and that's what we try and do, is we're trying to make this sport accessible, and it's hard to get into for a lot of people. And if we can shorten the swim and get more people to be introduced to our sport, great.
Jonathan, can you describe the markers along the course, especially for the swim portion?
Okay, so I mean, a lot of you guys have done this race before, and so you know that when I'm up there on the mic at the start of the swim, I am, until I'm blue in the face, repeating the swim instructions over and over again. You know, go left here, go here, turn around this buoy, you know, whatever. And I will do that. So there will be, when you're starting, there will be no doubt about what your course is. We have, there's sailing marks actually that they use for sailing races. They're about 5 feet tall triangular buoys in different colors. And so we place those out on the course, and they're very visible. And we try and put the right colors at the turn so that, you know, hey, I'm here at a green buoy. I got to turn right, you know, but there's no more buoys in front of me. So that makes it pretty obvious. I think the swim course is pretty well marked. Unfortunately, with the layout of the lake, we are going into the sun a little bit in the morning. But again, you know, it's a straight shot, and it's pretty obvious.
I'm going to extend that question to the panelists. How was the swim? Did you get blinded by the sun? What color goggles should we be using?
I think this one was great. I think I had slightly tinted goggles. Those weren't bad at all. And then I think the markers were really easy to see because, again, they were sailing markers. That was really great. One thing that I encountered is a few spots in 1 year of the swim, the weeds were pretty high, depending upon how far you veered off course, which I veered significantly off course. So if you run into some weeds, you know, don't be alarmed. But yeah, this one was great.
Well, and again, unfortunately, with the lake levels this year, I'm not going to really know until I get out in the lake on next Tuesday. And so there's a possibility that the Olympic course may have to be shortened by a couple hundred meters because there's a sandbar. I just don't know if that sandbar is exposed or not. Again, Bass Lake Marina, Bass Lake Water Sports has closed off our ability to go in front of his marina, and I'm going to go beg next Tuesday. I'm going to beg him, but I can't tell you what he's going to say. So anyway, if you are going to rent jet skis at Bass Lake, Miller's Landing is the place to go because they are super. They're helping us out. So I'm you know, as soon as Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to post on the website the exact parameters of the swim. So with respect to the weeds, you know, it's possible there may be some as we close in on that sandbar. But see, what I do is I just grab them and I just pull myself, so I don't have to worry about swimming. You know, I just pull
Genius.
the weeds, you know, so they actually keep faster that way.
Stephanie, Jason, Sarah, any insight on the swim? Finding the buoys?
The thing is, I mean, I always love the swim, and sadly right now it doesn't like stand out, which probably means that it was beautiful, and I don't remember being blinded. I usually bring 2 pairs of goggles, one that's tinted and one that's clear, and that way I can see the day up. I mean, I'm like Mills, I veer off, I get lost super easily. So the tinted goggles or clear goggles for me isn't necessarily a factor in the swim. But it was really smooth and fun and warm and beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think we'll have that this year. I mean, the snowpack isn't huge, and the weather is going to be very warm next week. So I'm totally confident we're going to be low to mid 70s for water temp.
Yeah, quick question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, just curious. You had mentioned something about masks and disposable masks and procedures for that. Could you kind of go over that a little bit, please?
in analyzing the race, our real choke points in being crowded mostly is the transition area and the swim staging line. So, we're not the vaccination police. We're not able to check who's vaccinated and who's not. So we have just made the decision that everybody's going to be masked inside the transition area. So that means whatever you're within the fencing in the transition area, you're wearing a mask and you're wearing it properly. So we have provided disposable masks in your transition bags when you show up to go into the transition area first time to rack your bike on June 4th. There'll be a bag waiting for you. It'll have your t-shirt, your chip, and all the other things that you need. It will also have a disposable mask. So you're welcome to wear whatever mask that you want. I mean, you might have a great mask that you like, cloth mask or hazmat, gas mask. I don't know what you have, whatever, it's fine. But our disposable mask is such that you can wear it from the transition area or into the swim staging line and into the swim start. And then we'll have a trash barrel at the swim start. You can just take it off and throw it away. And then you can race, obviously without the mask. So what we're doing is that we're just providing that disposable mask for you to wear in the transition area. And then you can dispose of it when you get ready to race. And then we'll also have masks at the finish line. So when you finish, you grab your finisher medal, your water, your Rise coffee, and whatever else. And then you grab a mask, and then you can wear that mask into the transition area to remove your stuff. So it doesn't matter to us what you're wearing, your personal mask or our supplied disposable mask. What the main thing is that you need to be wearing a mask inside the transition area, in the swim staging line, and on the beach at the swim start. So when your wave is called into the water, you can take your mask off, throw it away in the trash barrel provided.
Do we need to wear masks during the transitions from?
No. Once you're racing, you don't have to wear any kind of mask at all. And one of the things we have kind of relaxed when we first started planning this race is like everybody has to wear a mask on the premises of Bass Lake Village, like outside, spectators, this, that. And with the relaxation of a lot of these mask guidelines, we have gone from everybody must wear a mask to, hey, we encourage you to wear a mask outside the transition area, but you don't have to. So spectators, I mean, yeah, we prefer that they do, but if they don't, it's none of our business. The only thing we're making our business is wearing a mask in the transition area as you're warming up or as you're dropping your bike off Friday and you're checking on your bike on Saturday. And then when you're picking your bike up after your race on Saturday. Other than that, we're not really requiring any masks.
Jason, you've been requested to elaborate on what you were going to say about the swim.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, if you have a chance to swim the day beforehand or do a fresh open water swim, I would highly recommend that. Just because when I raced, I only prepared in aquatic park, and I guess kind of the buoyancy messed up my stroke during the beginning, but I eventually kind of got around it. But yeah, if you have a chance to do fresh open water beforehand, I'd recommend that.
And absolutely, the lake is that beach area is open for swimming at all times. So yeah, take advantage of it. Absolutely.
Jonathan, I got a question on the run. Is the run course paved, dirt, asphalt? Is it flat or rolling? But I think we had that question answered.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Well, it's paved. That's not interesting. It's paved. It's a regular road. But I would characterize it as rolling. But the thing is that what I like about the rolling course is that your center of gravity changes. So that if you're on a flat course for 6 miles, you get all beat up because your muscles are doing the same thing, stride after stride after stride. But in a rolling course, you're changing your center of gravity. You're leaning into the hill. You're kind of leaning away from when you're going downhill. And I find it a pretty fast course and pretty easy to run. Most of the rolling is gentle and very easy to do. There's one hill when you're coming actually into the finish line that is I wouldn't say steep, but is fairly long enough to make you work it. But I wouldn't call it an exceptionally difficult course. The first year we had this race, I had the race detour through a neighborhood that had some monster hills, which I thought was great because I love a challenging course, but I got so many complaints, I took it out. So I think it's a great course. I mean, I go run it, you know, when I'm up in Best Lake all the time, and it's fun. It really is fun. It's challenging without being intimidating.
Panelists, can you confirm that the run hills are gentle, as Jonathan said?
They're gentle
Yeah.
compared to, like, you know, hills here in SF, but you start to feel them a little bit when you're really pushing it. But it's beautiful because a lot of the course is shaded and people are out there cheering. But yeah, you feel them a little bit.
It wouldn't be worth doing if you didn't feel it a little bit.
Is it, Jonathan, is it an out and back again, the run for the Olympics?
Same as always. The
Okay.
sprint course is out and back, and the Olympic course is actually 2 laps.
So it's really fun because then you get to see your fellow athletes and high five them and like yell fun things at them.
Or insult them if you want.
And we can cheer on our fellow Oakland Tri Club athletes as well. All right, well, it looks like there's no more questions in the chat. I'd really like to thank you, Jonathan, for joining us from East Coast. And I'd like to thank our panelists as well for taking the time to share your experiences and give our tips. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, and especially for Oakland Tri Club for joining our event. And we're looking forward to racing with you next weekend.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. And again, thanks for supporting the race because, you know, we're real excited about getting back.